Hello and welcome to Candidates on the Clock, sponsored by the Newton County Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Lanier Sims. Today we're joined by Earnest Simmons, that's running for Newton County Board of Commissioners, District 2. Mr. Simmons, could you take a couple minutes and tell the citizens more about yourself?
Okay, I'll be more than happy to do that. Been in the area for over 20 years, western end of the county mostly. Served as a one-term commissioner between 2006 and 2011. During that time, we got, myself and the people that are involved, we got several projects done. The first project we got done is the Porter Memorial Library. The Porter Memorial Library, as you know, state-of-the-art building. They were recast and reclaimed materials out there. Is one of the only five in this, I believe, in the state of Georgia. That was really on a plan set, but we got that into fruition. We got that built. It's a $5 million building. At the same time, we started and completed Denny Dobbs Park. Now the park is not complete. It's a $5 million master plan for the park, but we got the first $2 million to the special splash. So we used the first $2 million to build that park. Now, as we move along, and the additional subsequent splash was supposed to finish the park. So we still got some work to do to that park. We have put up, myself and other commissioners, 3 traffic systems. The traffic at Smith Store and Salem Road, as you know. We also put up Spring Road and Salem Road traffic system. We also put up the 4-way traffic system at Brown Bridge and 212. So we accomplished a lot, and I also, during that time, got certified as a certified commissioner, learning about different departments, working with department head, and working with the University of Georgia, the Carl Vinson Institute. Commissioners given the opportunity to learn these things and be certified. So I was certified within 3 years. I'm proud of those accomplishments.
Okay, thank you. As you know, citizens submitted questions that they wanted to know about either the county or specifically the District 2. So we're just going to jump right in. The first question is, with the current fighting within the Board of Commissioners, how do you plan to promote One Newton?
Well, there's a couple ways we can do that. First of all, we meet one-on-one. Kathy Morgan, when she was head chair, she did that. She met with us one-on-one at dinner, and she laid her plans out, her future, her forecast on what she wanted to see with the commission. And I think that the chairman should do that with every commissioner, and commissioners should do that with one another. Each commissioner is tasked with getting things brought back to their district. So there's going to be some friction, despite what you do, because you're tasked with bringing things back, because at the end of your 4 years, you're measured on what you have brought back and what you haven't brought back, and you know that as a fact. So, it's almost like making sausage. It's not a pleasant thing at times, but at the end of the, you can all benefit at the end. So the best way we can do that is meet one-on-one, clear the air. The retreats are sometimes filled with staff. Sometimes you need to meet with just the commissioners. If the public is invited, but meet with commissioners, just see what's on their mind, see what they want to get done and accomplish in their districts. I think part of the fighting for the apple pie, a piece of the apple pie, because my first year, I didn't get much. The second year, then I had to bargain and work with other commissioners. So sometimes you have to vote with a block of commissioners to get what you want, and sometimes you have to compromise, and sometimes you're left out. So it's a process where, number one, you try to have thick skin and not take it personal. Number two, you are a human being. So, and number three is what you are judged with what you brought back. So that's, you have to go in thinking that I've got to bring something back to my particular district. In my 3 years, we brought back the library that wasn't there. We brought back and built the community park that wasn't there. It was on the drawing board for all those years. And we brought back to facilitate better traffic in District 2, those 3 traffic systems. So that's over $8 million worth of projects. And it took a lot of bargaining. It took a lot of arm twisting. But at the end of the road, you see the tangible results. So the best way I can answer that question is to say, meet with each other one-on-one, I prefer not a restaurant because sometimes the conversation can get heated. Maybe we have an excellent location out there at the library, at our branch library. There's a pavilion out there, and it's seldom visited in the middle of the afternoon. So that's a great place for everybody to just lay out their feelings and know what they thought, because there are a lot of hard feelings at the commission right now, from what I understand.
Okay, thank you. Next question, there seems to be more focus on personal district agendas rather than promoting the good of the entire county. How do you plan to work towards benefiting all the citizens of Newton County, not just your supporters or your district?
And that's a good question. But you see, you go back to that. You're judged on what you bring back to your individual district. So part of that is you're in a catch-22. We worked on joint projects. When I got the Denny Dobbs bill together with the citizens out here, we tried to work on a park for District 3. It was Nancy Schultz in it at that time. And I went to her and I said, well, what do you need for your district? She said a park. So it was her task to go out and find some land, the county to buy that land and then build a park. That's a collaborative work. As far as economics, or economic development, when I was in office, we had an issue with the chamber not coming to our meetings on a regular basis. So what I asked the president at that time, Hunter, to make regular visits, and if he worked in like Morning Hornet was the name of Facebook before it became known, because they had to keep the discussions private. So what I told him, I said, you need to come, you have a task to come before the commissioners and tell them what you're doing. You don't have to identify who you're working with, because that's, you're in very, very sensitive negotiations, but you do have to come and tell us what you're doing, because you kind of have to justify coming before us asking for money for your organization. And it's a private organization, and they're fighting for dollars of our operation for fire and rescue, sheriff department, and other departments. So I had the task of telling them to come before us, but for some reason that stopped. And I want to see that start back again. And then I think that they have a challenge of doing probably a better job in communicating with us on what they're doing and who they're wooing, and at the same time keep the sensitive negotiation private, because we don't need to know that. That's on a need-to-know basis. But we need to know what you're bringing to the table, because you're fighting for the same dollars as the sheriff department or other departments, because the sheriff department is over 40% of our budget. When I was in office, it was 35%. Now he's asking for $14 million for his department, $12 million for jail and detention. Now that's not necessarily bad, but that's the lion's share of the budget. Once you add the fire and rescue and all that apparatus, now you're over 50% of the budget. So now you're in a situation where you're only dealing with 45 to 48% of your budget, and everybody that asks for an increase should justify it.
Okay, thank you. As you know, the 2023 SPLOST is coming up. What would be your top 3 projects?
Well, the top 3 projects, we've already got a substantial amount on the state level, because I believe they're asking for the county to input on the next summer, the 2023 project of widening the Salem Road. That's been going on for 20 years. The first thing I would look at is see if we can somehow privatize some of the road and construction, because at the rate we're going, some of the residents that has been waiting will now add on roughly 2 to 3 more years before the neighborhood or the area gets surfaced. So we have to look into privatizing with the chairman, and because it used to be his baby under Captain Morgan, now it's run by a director, but we need to see if the privatization of the roads could be done on one end of the town, like, as you know, 2 and 3 are more urbanized, and then 1 is more rural, and then JC's district, which is District 4, is a good deal of his district is in the city of Oxford and in the city of Covington. So we can allocate, we can ask them to start on one side of the county and maybe get some of those dollars and privatize it. But for competitive bids to see if they can start on District 1 and 2 and get to those areas that the citizens have been waiting, at least 2 or 3 years, sometimes even up to 5 years to get their road resurfaced.
Okay, thank you. As you're aware, each district was provided about $1 million of the ARPA funds, that's the American Rescue Plans Act, to use in each district. Please provide details on what you would do with the $1 million allocated to District 2.
Well, there's more than $1 million allocated to District 2, and then there was a $2.6 million allocated that was a surplus from Facebook. And if you divide that up into 5, the first thing I would see what I could do with that is see if we could put together a summer youth employment program. If you took the 2.6 that Facebook gave us, set aside one, because it'll be just about $2.8 million to put 1,000 teenagers to work at $8 an hour, 40 hours a week for 9 weeks. So if we get District 2, we can get 1,000 teenagers over a 9-week period for $2.8 million. Then we would add up to that. But then we've got to see where our priorities are for other things. That wouldn't be enough. That $1 million wouldn't be enough to resurface enough roads and get them the curbs and the gutters to do a really good job of repaving roads. So I would probably look to other areas, and one of those areas would be a summer youth employment program, and then we would look for some other areas to spend that the remainder of that.
Okay. Let's talk about the moratorium that's on residential development right now. The development moratorium has been in place for months, probably close to a year, if not over. What do you believe is the problem, and how would you solve it moving forward? This is a two-part question, so I'll wait for your response and ask the second.
That's a good question. The biggest issue when you got, there's one going on right now, is Coral Road, they've just sold it, that property, and it's gonna be 400 to 600 homes over there. And the problem is egressing and ingressing into that particular neighborhood. The biggest problem is that golf course incorporated into Porterdale so they can have pouring rights, drinking rights. The biggest problem we deal with developers is that when they build a multi-purpose property with several hundred units, is that they don't provide enough space for green space and playground and other uses, multi-purpose uses. So those, if you take the typical 300 home development, you'll have 2 parents in there and possibly 1.2 kids. So you're talking about almost 600 people. So we have regs to make those people, make those developers, work with those developers, get those developers to, number one, put green space in there, maybe 2 or 3 acres for future use. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the people should not have to leave that location to take their kids to a playground. So maybe an acre or 2, at least put 2 or 3 acres aside for future use, and then that can be used for green space and trails. Second thing is to put a playground in that particular existing community, because when you don't do that, you force those residents to go out and find recreation, which is fine, but then you've got more cars on the road. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that they put green space and recreational activities in that place that they build. You can't sit here and build a 500, 600, 700 multi-purpose use housing area and not have those people have a place to take their kids to and then play, and then have a place for future development as they sell homes and as kids, families expand and get more. So a 600 development, that's 1,200 people that needs a place to go to take their kids, and for recreation and for future use, trails, walking trails, and possibly a meeting space in there, because on District 2 and 3, there's a shortage of meeting space. Graduating, seniors, a variety of other things. That's a big issue here.
Okay, and you may have touched on part of this in the second part of this question. Growth is obviously coming to these districts and to Newton County as a whole. Can you explain to the citizens your plan for a healthy residential growth that supports our commercial and retail needs, but also protects us from uncontrolled sprawl?
Well, we have to be careful with that. We have to be careful for 2 reasons, because as you know, the silos, that's a 700 development, and we tried to stop that before I got in office. In that particular situation, that developer went to court, cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees, and end up winning that case. That's why you have 700 homes out there. So it behooves us to first to try to work with him. Second, work with developers the best we can, but stand our ground as far as holding our regulations. You're gonna build 700 homes, you're gonna have to put some green space out there, you're gonna have to put future use acres out there set aside, you have to put gutters and streams out there, which is, you're gonna have to build sidewalks. So you've got 1,400 people looking for a place for their kids to play. So, and I want to speak earlier about the moratorium. We have to be careful with that. As you know, that lawsuit cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the regulations that we got in place now have to be followed. And they have to issue with that. We have to stand our ground because we'll have sprawl all over the place. Now, we can't do anything about people that want to move to Newton County. You've been here all your life. I've been here since 2002. When I got here, there was roughly 40 to 42,000 people here. Now there's over close to 112 to 120. So we're tripling our population. Nothing we can do about people that want to move here, but when they move here, and they're going to want high quality housing, and to regulate those housing is to put in regulations that you're going to put all these homes here, you got to build the infrastructure, and then you have to set aside land for future use, for parks, recreation, green space, trails, and other things.
Okay, thank you. What are the challenges facing District 2 that must be addressed in the next 4 years?
Well, the first thing is getting that road widened, Selling Road. That's a top priority. It went from six lanes, and I think now what's on the board that they're going to start next summer is 8 lanes. So we got to continue to work with our state reps. That's both our state senator and our state reps to make sure that the Georgia Department of Transportation give a priority and continue to give a priority to that corridor. That's number one. Number two is any developer that comes and want to develop here in the county, we've got to balance that with retail space, because once you get those people in the county, we don't want them to leave the county to go out shopping and spending money in other areas. But you can't do that unless you have the retail to back that up. Biggest problem is on Friday and Saturday, the stores in downtown Covington close about 6 or 7. You got to take typical family work 8 to 5. They get off, or they may in the later part of the week might not want to prepare something for dinner, but they shouldn't have to go to Rockdale or Atlanta for basic food stuff to take their family to dinner. So you got to pair the planning with retail, so they have a place to go and take their family and keep these dollars here in Newton County. That's the overall goal, because we got plenty, as you know, we got plenty of people that live in District 2 and District 3, but when it comes to Friday, Saturday, later during the week, they got to have a place to go and take their family. That's of course high quality, because we're competing with not only Atlanta, we're also competing with Rockdale County, which has a lot of food eateries that we don't have. So we still have the challenge to try to get those entrepreneurs to start businesses here, so we don't have to go down 138 to go to Conyers, or we don't have to go to Atlanta. So those are the challenges that we have, making sure that we have retail and making sure that we have enough retail for the citizens here to shop and keep the dollars here. And because if we don't do that, the only thing we're going to be relying on is the school tax and our millage rate. And right now, right now what I'm hearing is that our millage rate is pretty high. It's not as high as surrounding counties, but that's what we're going to have to rely on for future tax dollars. And we don't want to do that. You want to have a healthy mix of relying on retail and the millage rates to get your county services and day-to-day running of the county on a regular basis. That's what you want to do.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for answering all the top questions submitted by our citizens. At this time, can you close us out with any further information about yourself, your campaign, and how can the voters reach you?
Well, they can reach us on our Facebook page. It shows you what we've been doing, and you can just Facebook Earnest Simmons. It's the one that comes up. It shows you what we've been doing since the start of the campaign and what we want to finish. We got a task to finish the park, because as you know, that park, Denny Dobbs Park, is the most utilized park in the county. So finish the master plan for that. We gotta put up the acreage that we bought, we could build trails in there. We can, all will build a multi-purpose center that the senior citizens can use, and also it can double as meeting space because we have a shortage of meeting space in District 2 and District 3. But once we finish that, making sure that the roads are safe, the bridges are safe, and we have a healthy and sheriff department that he gets what he needs, and we have a healthy fire. You do know if you live 3 to 7 miles from a fire station, that should help with your with your mortgage as far as trying to keep that in line. That's if you live 3 to 5 miles from a fire station, it helps. And we do have fire stations that are going up on an ongoing basis.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Simmons.
Yes, sir. Anytime.